Hello, everybody, and welcome to Broken Brian. Today, I'm going to do a simple breakdown of all this talk about Sweet Baby Inc. that you've probably seen here and there. And this is for those that aren't really into the gaming community, who are more like me or casual gamers. And I'm going to do a quick little background of what's kind of going on a little bit, but I'm just going to break it down in the simplest terms of what's going on. Now, this is being called Gamergate 2.0. Now, what was Gamergate 1.0? Now, there are massively long videos about it on YouTube and other platforms. So I'm going to break it down simply so you can understand. About 10 years ago, to my understanding, and in my research, I remember casually being talked about, but since I was not into gaming at the time, didn't really bother me. Basically, a female game developer developed a game and broke up with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend was really upset and wrote this huge long post accusing her of really bad things with another gaming journalist. And even though those claims were untrue, it sparked an investigation of relation of game developers and game journalists that really took an entire life of its own. And I'll put the link down below in the description so you can kind of see. Even the Wikipedia post on it is massive. So I'm not going to try to explain it all here. And I'm not sure I fully understand the original one altogether completely in its entirety. So, what is this one? Well, it comes down to this. What sparked this off was Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. And how did one game kind of set this off? Well, that's kind of the trigger point of where this happened. And it was a really bad game. There was a lot of bad things. There's a lot of technical problems, which Sony has refunded a lot of users on the purchase of this game, which is really excessively rare, extraordinarily rare that Sony ever refunds money for games. But it also had a lot of quality issues, storyline issues, and basically, as one person on Twitter said, the uglification of the female characters. And one gamer decided that this was just unacceptable and decided to do research into why this game was so bad, who was involved, and what was going on. And this user found out that this company called Sweet Baby Inc. was hired to help consult on the writing and other aspects of the game. And basically, what it comes down to is he figured that this company is primarily one of the major reasons that this game was so bad. And he started looking into. They also consulted on Spider-Man 2, which has a lot of identity politics and diversity issues and some issues of just that don't fit the Spider-Man story or narrative, and there's a lot of complaints about that. So he started looking, and he made a list on Steam saying that, hey, if you didn't like this game and you didn't like this other game because they did all this identity politics and just all this stuff, he made a list of the games that Sweet Baby Inc. had a hand in, which are publicly on their website. Now, this list, before it took off, had about 100 people following this list. Not many. I mean, for a gaming community post on Steam, that's minuscule. And one of the employees for Sweet Baby Inc. didn't like this list even existing because they felt it was an attack, and that from their perspective they could see it as an attack on them, and in effect it was. But from a completely standpoint, this list does nothing but take their project list on their website and put it on Steam, saying, here's the list. if you didn't like their work in these games, we don't recommend these games either because they had a hand in them. So it can be kind of attack, but it's like, hey, if you don't like, it was like, hey, if you don't like what Kevin Spacey did, here's a list of all his movies so you can avoid them. That's basically what it was. And no one knew about it until this employee from Sweet Baby Inc. said this is unacceptable and went all out to try to get this list removed from Steam's website. And this is when the Streisand effect takes a hold, which is no one knew anything about it. No one cared about it. But they made such a stink over it that this list has over 250,000 followers now. Went from 100 to 250,000 in the matter of 2 weeks now, I think. And so, all right, this is not a good look. So this employee kept trying to get them banned, get them kicked off Steam, get all their social media accounts shut down, and basically created an attack on this user who made a list. And it got so bad that he or she, I'm not sure which, it got so bad that his account was banned off Twitter for inciting harassment. And that's pretty bad. So all this is just major backfire because it's starting. This one little thing is just like the original Gamergate. This one little issue they've just ignored and no one complained about it would have disappeared. No one would have been the wiser. But since it's blown up now, a lot of the game journalists that, let's just say, some of these sites have questionable takes to begin with and have, lost their early access to places from companies like Nintendo. They don't get their advanced copies of Nintendo games anymore because of what they've done. And that takes a lot. I mean, that takes a lot. Yeah. And so now these gaming journaling websites and games news websites are coming to the defense of Sweet Baby Inc. to say this is not what they're doing. This is not what they're doing. And more of these companies are being identified that are working on these games, and more lists are popping up, and more gamers are standing up. You're like, oh, this just wasn't a select group or a studio. There's people actually trying to put these messages into games, period. We don't like that. That's what we don't want. As a casual gamer, I can ignore it. I can not buy the game. I don't care. It doesn't bother me that much. But it does bother me that it is so blatant. And I just don't buy the games if it's got that in it. So, but it's become this huge thing now. And basically, what it comes down to is this has been revealed to the world now that these DIE companies are trying to push narratives into gaming, and the gamers are like, hey, fine, we won't buy your games if your company works with this company. And, well, I mean, based boycotts usually work. I mean, look at Bud Light. Then look at the opposite. Look how that boycott worked with Hogwarts Legacy. #1 selling game in 2023. Yeah, that worked real well. So, in the end, this is what it comes down to. There's companies that push this ideology into gaming, and a lot of gamers around the world finally said, hey, if your company's involved in this, we're not buying your games anymore. We're not going to buy that game anymore if these companies are involved. And you've seen a spike over the past week in game sales from two different genres, I would say. One, classic games. I mean, Steam put the entire Command and Conquer set of 17 games on sale for like $10. Picked it up this week. It's been a blast playing. Reliving my preteen years. And then Japanese studios. Japanese studios don't do any of this, and their games have had a huge uptick in sales this past week. So basically, that's it. None of this would be happening if one employee didn't feel so personally attacked because someone made a list that it was on their website to begin with. So now we've got Gamergate 2.0 rooting out some of the terrible things that are happening in the gaming industry and the ideologies behind them. So that's why it's being labeled as Gamergate 2.0. And this is probably not the last we're going to see talking about it. This is probably going to echo for at least the end of this year. I really do think this is just not going to go away for a while because Gamergate didn't. And this is what's been opened. This can of worms has been opened. And now the gaming industry is going to have to deal with it because now the gamers realize they had a choice, but they didn't know these companies were so involved. And now they're making the choice with their spending power to go spend their money elsewhere. And that's why these gaming sites and some of this major media outlets are trying to throw their support behind Sweet Baby Inc. and other companies like them because it helps their narrative and helps promotion. But honestly, I mean, if you like capitalism, this is just capitalism at its best. You made a product we didn't like, we don't buy it anymore. You made a product that's supposed to change our minds when we wanted a product where we can actually just enjoy it. We're out. Gamers are fairly simple. We want to grab a controller, play, and have fun. And that goes whether you're just a casual gamer like me or like a pro gamer that makes their living streaming online. A lot of it is just one primary reason. We want to play a game that we like and have fun. And if it doesn't become fun, or if it becomes preachy, or if it just throws stuff in our face that we don't like, we go somewhere else. So basically, that's as simple and long and short of it. So hopefully, you kind of get an understanding of what's going on and just keep your eyes out because this is something that's not going to go away for a long time. The repercussions of this one list is going to echo for a while through the gaming communities and probably now quite a while because it deals with DIE. It'll echo through the mainstream media for quite a while as well. So it's just a sad state of things, isn't it? Well, until next time, my friends, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it.